All right, well, we've been waiting to do this for quite a bit. This is we don't really have a name for it yet.
I think it's tea time at the end of the day.
Tea time is what we're going with right now, but this is essentially, our first test. You guys could be our first audience. Let us know if it's interesting enough to keep going, but we'll ask the viewers as well. But a lot of people kind of asked us, to sit down and sort of explain how we even came together. I mean, I think at this point we've been growing as a studio. We're getting a lot of new faces. We definitely have our OGs, that have been around since the beginning, and
Yes.
They're more familiar with it. But this is, I guess, a good opportunity for us to go through the story and just recap how we got here, because not often we get to stop and sort of think about the journey. We're very caught up in like what's next a lot of the times. That it isn't until somebody comes in here and tells us like, wow, you guys have grown, and blah blah blah, this and that, until we start thinking about it like, oh wow, it has been quite the journey. So I think this is a good opportunity to recap. What do you think?
I think it's just funny, like, hearing, like, the OGs that have been here be like, they come to the studio, they're at the first studio on Pico, and they come to this, they're
man.
What the actual hell happened here? Like, it's pretty crazy.
And it's been pretty fast, too. Well, for the most part, it's felt pretty quick, but it's been, like 5 years now since we've met?
This summer, 6 years.
This summer is 6 years, damn. Yeah, it felt like yesterday since I met you, so I guess we'll start there. I myself have been living in, LA since 2010. I grew up sort of in, the west side of the city, and, didn't really have, for the most part, any ideas to pursue a career in music per se. I was always obviously a huge fan of music, and, played instruments and stuff growing up. But, my parents are more traditional in the sense that a music career isn't always an option that they present forward to me as something that they want me to do. They were sort of wishing I would be a doctor, a lawyer, some traditional job, I'm sure, that has financial security. But that being said, like, they're both really big fans of music too. Like, my dad would play a lot of Pink Floyd and Beatles in the house growing up. So I come from like a classical rock background.
You already know I got Rifki.
Yeah.
My mom's
Your
a
mom
singer
was a
too,
singer straight up. Yeah. But no, I think when I was like 18, I got super curious like how music was made. Like, that was like something that started to really bother me almost. It was kind of poking at me, because I would hear music and I would start to criticize it, as in like, oh, I wish they changed like the snare a little bit.
The chutzpah you had.
You know what I mean? I was
$18-year-old.
just talking shit. So I was like, you know what? If you're talking all this shit, like, you might as well learn how to produce music, so you can have an opportunity to make what you are hearing in your head. And that wasn't out there. And then so at the time, I didn't really know anything about recording, mixing. I didn't even know mixing and mastering was a thing. I was just I went to Guitar Center and grabbed the first person I saw, and I asked him what I would need to do in order to produce music, and that was kind of the beginning of the journey. So that was when I was, 17, 18?
How many times a day do you think at Guitar Center they get asked, this is my first thing, what should I get?
Honestly, probably happens a few times a week.
I think a few times a day.
Few times, maybe. I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope there's a...
Maybe not so much now.
Yeah. Nah. It was cool. I in the beginning, it was honestly the most fun in the beginning, when I didn't know anything about anything, because there was no sort of framework to...
That's when it's the most pure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's just raw ideas,
Real raw.
Real raw energy.
Yeah.
Shout out Jaleel.
Shout out Jaleel real quick. Yeah, that's the boy.
That's the homie. But so I got a laptop. Just got Logic Pro X because I had a Mac. And I started to make a lot of noise in my apartment, my parents' apartment, and the neighbors were quick to complain about it.
Did you have monitors in that set, or were you just...
I didn't even have monitors. I was playing it off of like a JBL speaker. I didn't even know. I didn't know like studio speakers were important, or why they were even.
You were 18 when that was all happening?
17, 18. I had just graduated in high school, so.
Did you do anything in the EULA music room at all, or?
That's actually funny. I guess that is.
I never asked
the real reason of how it started was when I was in high school. I had a friend who was like, dude, you should make music. You should make music.
Who is it?
His name is Zohar, my good friend Zohar Tito. He pushed me to like make music, and he actually was in like the music program, I guess at school. Sure. And he like low-key stole like an audio interface and a mic stand. I didn't know at the time that it was stolen.
You're putting Zohar on fucking blast.
But he just, it's fine.
He didn't do it.
It was over 10 years ago.
He borrowed it.
It was borrowed and then later returned.
at some point. Yeah.
But he came and he was like, here, I don't know what these are, but I know you need these to make music, and I think you should do it. So shout out Zohar, because I don't think if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here in the first.
Still live in L.A.
Yeah.
You should definitely come see the studio.
He has. I brought him.
Oh, swag.
He was in awe. Yeah, having seen that and then been here today.
Did he bring the equipment just to see if it was still working?
It was returned.
It was already returned.
At that point.
My bad.
But yeah, so right when you met me, I was in my dad's office after I left to my apartment. This was at a time when Barry was pursuing a rap career. I mean, I guess you could speak in a little bit about that.
That's kind of when,
what brought you to LA in the first place.
Yeah, so I went to school in Binghamton, obviously upstate New York. Didn't finish college, and my girlfriend at the time, who's not my wife, Ruth, she was moving back to LA, and I was already planning on moving here because I was rapping. And
how'd you even get to Binghamton?
I wanted to get away from Chicago.
Yeah,
it's also just like a big, big Jewish community, the Ida Crown.
So you went from the cold to like
more
colder,
cold. Yeah, just same thing. Okay. It was like equal amount of cold, but like also mountains, and I like hiking. So like,
oh, okay, that's fair.
Outdoor Earths is what they call me. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah. So I went to Binghamton. There was no music like life going on there, and then I met Fishman, and I was already rapping. Like I was just freestyling with Kevin and shit.
Yeah.
And then we. I don't know, I was writing a lot. I made music videos in Chicago. Nothing like that was great, but like then I met Fishman and he wanted to produce for me, and we were just making a lot of music out of the dorms. And
that's the boy.
The whole other side of that story. That is the boy though. Shout out Adam Fishman. Shout out Zach Ben Levy too. Those guys were like helping me do the whole thing out of Binghamton. There's a whole other side of that story, but you know, we just made a lot of music, had a really fun time, and then when I didn't graduate, I moved here like immediately, like 10 days after. And then I guess that's where like
you knew like
I was moving to LA with or without Ruth, regardless.
Yeah,
like
you knew you wanted to be in the music industry. In one way, in one form or the other.
I was also fucking done with the cold. Like I was just like over it. Like I'd been to LA a few times, and I was just fair. I'm done with this. I also visited LA a few times to see Sean Bagel, you know, the boys, in the works. But like it was just like I had enough at that point, and I wanted to be somewhere warm where the music industry was. And then I came here and I interned for a bunch of people that didn't listen to anything I had to say. And that was the necessary step in LA. Like we both know about that. And then I met you.
Yeah.
And then we would just record together. That's kind of like where the intersection.
You moved here and you just went balls to the walls. You didn't know anyone and you just started going.
Well, that's what I do anywhere.
I know.
I did that in New York too. There was no music scene at Binghamton, and then I left and like I spawned a Schaffner, you know, like that happened.
Yeah.
Shout out Ben Schaffner, great A&R.
Yes, sir.
But like he was inspired at the music scene over there. He continued it, and then like I came here. I just did the same shit, I guess. Like it is, you know me.
Well, I think you came, you know, at a very fortunate time for me as well.
Divine timing, yeah.
We speak about this all the time. It's funny, like first time I actually met Barry was at a Dodgers game. They're playing the White Sox, you know, which is.
I've went to one Dodgers game the 6 years I've lived in LA. It
was random. Some random friend of mine hit me up. Like I wasn't supposed to be at the game either.
Dude, I was so late.
To be there.
We left so late, and then like I was like, "Fuck, we're gonna get there in the third inning." We literally got there in the third inning, went right to the hot dog stand, and you're standing there with my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. I'm just like,
so random.
But I wasn't tweaking. I was friends with him from camp too. Yeah. He was like, "Yo, Barry, Joni, you guys both make music. You should." I mean, you both look at each other like, "Okay."
Yeah. Like the amount of times I heard like, "Oh, this guy makes music." You know,
we were so skeptical, bro. Sure. Like we could have started a week earlier. It would be 10 times further. In the
I think I gave you a fake number.
No, you didn't.
It worked.
Sure? It worked. It was blue.
I wouldn't be surprised if I mean, it could have been blue.
It was blue because then the next time we met was like a week later.
I know. That's when I knew. I was like,
when we went outside. So my girlfriend was like, "We're going to my friend's house," and I was like, "Okay." Like I don't have any friends yet, so we go there, and I'm like, "This guy again."
Yeah.
And he's
random
there.
Kickbacks, mutual friends and stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, this guy from the baseball game."
Yeah.
It's been hitting me up.
I was like, "Listen, like let me show you some music." So I show him. He's like, "You know, it's not half bad. Let's you want to go see my dad's studio."
Yeah.
The studio at my dad's.
It got to a point where like the kickback was like whatever, and I was like, all right, like
we both had enough.
There's probably better use of our time. Yeah. I was like, at this point, I thought about it, and I said, okay, fine. You want to come see like my studio? It wasn't even a studio. It was a laptop with like a very.
I might have a picture of it. I'm gonna whip it out
while you pull that up. Yeah, it was just literally just like a computer with a JBL and a microphone. And
I should have. Oh, there it is. for the cameras. If you guys could zoom in on that somehow, right here.
Probably do it. And
I didn't take this picture either.
I don't even know who took that picture.
This is if I was Nardwar. Is it true?
Yeah, that's the Green Tea Studios beta version, right there. That was the prequel.
Can I see that?
You got yeah.
Yeah,
that's a little Yoni.
All that time ago, before I could grow facial hair.
You had like a very attemptive chin strap going on.
Oh, that's pure laziness.
Pure laziness.
Yeah, there was no attempt at anything.
Long pace. Yeah, you went crazy with that, huh? What program are you even working on? There's that Logic. Oh my God, you would never know.
No. Shout out Ableton. Ableton all day.
Yeah, sir. Sponsor us.
Yeah. But no, I think going back to what I was saying, I think it was really divine timing in the sense that we both met each other during a time where I was learning how to record and mix and just do general studio work. And I'm not much of a vocal performer myself, so it was really nice to have somebody that I could practice on.
It's literally all I wanted to do.
Imagine as a videographer, like you have somebody that's just like, yeah, I just shoot scenes. I just like rehearse scenes all day, and you're like, great, let me just like shoot this and figure it out and experiment. So I think that was an amazing opportunity because he lived literally across the street from where I
could see the studio outside of my window. Like that whole time, I was like, what is that building? Like there's a restaurant.
There are all these little things that came together. I'm like, oh, he lives right here. Like, oh my God, like. I guess I have to invite him. I guess we have to start going, because none of my friends at the time had any remote interest in production or music, so I didn't have any friends in the music industry. And I'm very much a self-taught kind of person, so that's why I was taking it upon myself to just like learn how to do it.
You know what I'm thinking about? Is the most impressive thing about that whole thing at the beginning was that you were working 9 to 5, I was working 9 to 5 and 2 internships at other places, and we were still there for like 5-6 hours a night for probably like 4 or 5 months straight. We were there like a lot, and we had all that shit, other shit going down at that time. We still managed to just be there like all the time, dude.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was great.
That was a great time.
Yeah, let's close this up and just restart the whole thing.
Yeah,
huh? Yeah.
Close the studios, go back making music.
No, go back to that specific office with no air conditioning. Dude, I remember how many nights in the summer I just like wouldn't have my shirt on. You're like, who is this kid? Like, what is going on right now?
I had to vacuum all this hair off the ground.
Yeah.
Just because hairy.
It's not from the mustache either. So.
No, but it was great. But that developed into me getting, I guess, good enough at recording that Barry felt that he should suggest for me to record some other people that he knew that he had became friends with in the music industry,
from the other
up
studios.
and coming artists and stuff that needed an engineer to record with, and that was I thought at the time a really good idea to make some money on the side. Ray Stenton?
Ray Stenton, shout out Ray Stenton.
That's our first client ever. Damn. But yeah, no, it was like a light bulb went off because at the time, like I said, I was just learning it for myself to learn how to do it. But then when he suggested for me to record other people and make money on the side, I was like, wow, that's actually a fantastic way to make some money on the side. And I got so busy in the next few months from just Barry acquiring clients that we had to essentially take another room in my dad's studio,
a bigger room,
break down the wall in the middle, and kind of build a studio space. I just needed to. That was when we took the leap, and it was funny because when I was just learning how to make music and stuff, I was like, damn, what would my rap name be? Like everyone's like, growing up, I always wanted to have a rap name, and I couldn't for the life of me think of anything cool enough, like as an artist name. And one day I was just drinking tea in the studio. My friend came over, was like, "Oh, you only green tea, always drinking tea." And I was like,
"That wasn't at our studio, was it?"
It was when I had my dad's office. And I was just like chilling, drinking tea.
Who said it to you?
Zohar. Same friend that I was, in the beginning.
Same guy that returned the
He was like,
"Oh,
you only green tea. You only green tea." I was like, "Oh, that's actually pretty catchy. Like, I'll stick with that for a bit." So the studio became Green Tea Studios because of that. And
that was the one thing we never objected on. Also, I just want to talk about that. Like, if it was like Green Tea Studios, like, do you have any other name ideas? I was like, no, let's run it.
Yeah, I don't think I even asked you if you did. It wasn't up for a debate.
Green Tea Studios, let's ride. What I'm saying?
Green Tea Country.
Green Tea Country, let's ride.
Let's ride. Oh, that season was terrible. That's a clip. Dude. I can't believe the Broncos were that bad this year.
I cannot.
They
only have Jerry Judy. That's it.
When they got Russell Westbrook,
sports podcast is gonna happen from this too.
Yeah.
That could be me and you. We could even throw like.
We'll sidetrack into.
No, we could have guests. I have some good ideas for guests. Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah. So that's kind of how Green Tea Studios started, and ever since then we've just been grinding, keeping it going. We met a lot of people along the way.
Some great
a lot
names.
of extremely talented artists, a lot of
big contributors,
extremely talented producers, mixers.
Are you allowed to name any of those artists?
I would say shout out to some of our earliest clients, such as Kabwasa. Kabwasa's
doing his thing,
dude. Great kid. You know, went to USC music program. He's out here in LA. He's from Watsonville, California, so up closer to the Bay, and he just makes amazing, like funky kind of groovy R&B, dance R&B kind of stuff. Yeah, he's really, really talented. Shout out Kabwasa. He's one of the earliest clients we can remember that we've seen develop through the studio, that is now verified, doing amazing things. You know,
crazy on Spotify.
Hundreds of thousands of listeners a month, and it's just, you know, amazing to see the growth that we were able to contribute. You know, we do all the recording, mixing, mastering with him, and he's just such a genuine guy, talented artist, great person. Fun to be around, always smiling.
You can't help but smile when you're with that guy. It's just it's infectious.
I think people like that remain positive even through tougher times. Like that's success kind of likes to find those people. Mm-hmm. I feel like people that just are, you know, are a pleasure to work with. That's
smiling through the mud. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you realize when you get to the industry, when you're already there, everyone assumes that you're qualified enough to already be there. That's why you're there. So they're at that point just looking for nice people to work with. You know what I mean? I'm sure you guys could relate to that. It's much easier to do any sort of video work when someone's just like just kind, you know, understanding. It's just a pleasure to work with, because once we're in the same room, I understand that there's a reason you're there. You know, I don't need to question your skills or worth, you know, stuff like that. So shout out Kabwasa. You mentioned Selena. She's also a day one. You know,
she gave you more mixing work than I think anyone else at the beginning. That like really allowed you to expand on your your sound, and also gave us like an opportunity to really work with a lot of female vocalists that opened the door for us in a different way. We weren't really working with too many female clients prior to that, and she obviously has a very sultry, like soulful and like unique voice. So
she's an amazing person.
Work with.
She's an amazing soul. Too. So the music comes from there, that's no doubt. But yeah, definitely what you were saying, shout out Selena in the sense that she when we first started working together, she was living in Oregon and she was recording at home in her bedroom and just sending me raw stems to mix and master. And I appreciate her a lot because she kind of gave me the keys creatively to, you know, extrapolate and interpret the song however I kind of saw fit, because she trusted that I have a similar vision in the sense of how the song should feel, and you know, the sort of textures and stuff like that, you know, through the conversations and just the relationship that we built. And again, she was working with us when she was 16, I think she started. And
she's 20 now.
The absolute growth that has come since then, not only, you know, listener-wise, but as people and as, you know, musically. I think her last project that she released, Solace, that album that we did, I'm always gonna refer back to it. It's one of those albums that feels timeless.
Dude, we made some good shit out of the studio with these people, man.
I'm genuinely proud of that. So if you're an artist and you're looking to get into the music industry, right? There's a few things to consider, because a lot of the times when you think of the industry, what does that mean? You know, there's the labels, music labels. You always hear about these things. They're essentially entities that will lend you money. They're essentially the bank for the artist. They're going to front. They're going to. It's just a loan. They front you the money so you can then spend that money on production for your videos. You know, music. Like if you want to work with certain producers, you want to get features, you want to work with certain engineers. Like these people have a certain fee that comes with that, that's associated with their work, because everybody wants to work with them if if they're top of the industry. And that's pretty much it. The label essentially says, here's a bunch of money if you believe that you can make a return on it. And then, you know, so a lot of the times artists have to grow independently at first, and there's obviously associated costs with everything, and it's very difficult for an artist, I think, to initially break through. That's why, you know,
that's why there's not so many breakthrough artists.
Exactly, because it is very difficult. And as an artist, you need to have so many sort of boxes checked. Like, it's not, I've worked with so many artists at this point that I've just been
Boxes
exposed to
get signed.
Well, what I mean is when you look at Drake, for example, right? We'll take like Top Dog. Not only does he have a good voice, he's a great people's person. He stays out of trouble. He knows how to manage the business. He knows how to keep the right people around him. He knows how to complete things. You know, he adheres to schedules. Like, there's so many things outside of what you see that it is all this hard work that needs to be put in for you to be even able to get to that certain position. You need to be a good songwriter. You need to be a good, you know, not only a good songwriter, but a good songwriter in the studio session, performer. Which is a whole different skill set when you realize, like, it's easy to make something in your bedroom when you're comfortable. But what is it like when you only have 3 hours in a session with somebody and you gotta show up, you know? But I digress. As far as breaking into production, like if you just wanted to be, you know, I mean, like you're a singer, you wanted to get into the music industry, I'd recommend the first things first is to learn how to record yourself. Today, there is the tech is so good that being able to record at home is not what it used to be 10 years ago, you know? Now it's like anybody with a laptop, and you can get even like a USB mic. That sounds pretty decent at this point. You know, I think developing a sound is something that does come with time. But if I were to suggest, like people ask me all the time, like how do I be original in the music industry? How do I develop a sound? I think that if you expose yourself to as much music as possible and as many different genres as possible, like let's say you're listening to rock, you're listening to country, you're listening to hip hop, throw jazz in there, blues, whatever. The more that you're exposed to, when it comes time for you to sit down and create something, it's gonna have to be somewhat original because it's all these sort of influences coming out of you and your interpretation of things. So the more that you expose yourself, the more that you can dig deeper and find something that is original.
It's not always true though.
Well, that's how you increase your chances of becoming original. Because if you just listen to one style of hip hop, let's say, you're gonna
sound like that.
You're gonna end up sounding just like that. Yeah. And nobody wants another version of something else that already is there.
That's what I was gonna say.
Everybody wants something that's original. You know, the studios, let's say they have a Doja Cat, they're not gonna get another Doja Cat. They already have that. You know, like what makes you different than that? You can have similar influences and a similar sound, but you still
don't want the same product. Yeah.
No, they want. At the end of the day, people want to relate to something, to somebody, to have a person that they're like a fan of, that they think is cool. Like it's beyond just the music. That's what I'm saying. Like so many boxes have to get checked. You have to have a personality. You have to have a brand. You have to, you know, have something that people want to be a part of. Having a good song these days is just not enough. There's so many songs that get uploaded to Spotify every single day.
I think it's 200.
I don't even want to hear the stat because it's gross.
I think it's 100,000 uploads
a day to
podcasts
Spotify.
Daily right now.
The point is like it's becoming very.
I mean, it's already happened. It's an oversaturated market. You got to stand out if you're going to be an artist now. That's really the point blank period on it.
Everyone has the same techniques on social media. Everyone's kind of doing the same thing, regurgitating content, and it's just getting. It's getting dense. It's getting dense. And then when you realize that the labels are the ones that control it and promote their artistry, like their product essentially, they just want you to, you know, eat up whatever they throw at you on social media. And that's kind of what we're doing. What we're doing too, though.
You don't need to anymore, though.
But that's the thing, though, is when you are looking for new music, like only now are you able to really dig deep and surf because of Spotify and the streaming platforms, and you can and the algorithms get pretty cool, and you can really find new music. But before it was just like
I think it was
whatever the labels throw on the TV or whatever they put on the radio. There's no way to find new artists. So now it's like there's a little bit of an opportunity for that. And here at Green Tea Studios, it's a big thing for us to try and promote artists based on just what we feel is good music, what we feel is good artistry. It's not just about selling a certain product because we're not, that's not our thing. We want to create a different avenue and a place for people to be able to find new artists that they enjoy. Bring that to light. Provide an opportunity for artists that don't really have the ability to get into the big studios and the big records to be able to make good music, because there is good music out there. There's so many talented artists around, that have $0, let's say, you know what I mean? And they're just young and they just don't know better, but they're super talented. And in the current state of things, the current structure of the industry, those kids will never see the light of day because they literally just don't have the funds to get there. You know, even to get to the point where a label can sign you, you need to put in a certain amount of money to create a portfolio, to create a body of music, to then be able to present to the label in hopes to at least get signed and then keep growing the thing. It's like I just went to a Central C concert with my sister. Shout out Central C. She's big in the UK scene. But the point is like
she?
No, my sister.
Oh,
like she's a big fan of the
I
UK.
thought you said Central C.
No. But what I'm trying to say is he had that Doja Cat song blow up, and it went viral. It was all over TikTok. So every time I tell people I went to Central C, they're like, "Oh, the Doja Cat guy." And I'm like, "Sure, you know that's how you know him." But he's been putting music out for over 10 years. You know?
Is he really?
He's been putting music out for over 10 years.
Jalil's like that too, low key.
There's no such thing as overnight success.
Unless there is, like Yachty's overnight.
No, he's not. Because
he was.
No, he's not. But he was making music for a while before that.
But he didn't put it out until that.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess he worked on it.
You put in the work. You don't show up to the gym day one. You're ripped.
Yeah. So you could have a good base, but like you
can start uploading to Instagram when you're ripped.
Yeah.
But like it takes a while to get.
Yeah.
That's the point. Is like you have to put in the time. So if you're just starting out, you can't be discouraged by numbers or how your stuff sounds compared to other people, because it's just, you have to look at it as like a challenge. You know, how can I get there? How can I get closer and closer to that?
It's the same thing with the studio, dude.
Exactly.
Where we started with 200 followers off the bat, and then what? I mean, I don't care about follower count. I'm just talking about the overall success of the studio. We started out as in your dad's office. You know, we're in Santa Monica in a private room. It's pretty fire. Like, you just have to push through the bullshit at the beginning. You have to fight through the mud. That's with anything, though. Like in life too. Like it's a lot of important lessons you can learn through the music industry. Like you're gonna start out with a couple hundred listeners, maybe if you're lucky. But like if you really believe in what you're doing and you actually really like making the music, that's gonna be the thing that carries you through it. Like
that has to be because if you don't love making the music, like it's
over already. Yeah,
dude. Lizzo was living in her car
for years.
Like you know what I mean? Like if she didn't get discouraged from that, you know, like that's enough to break a person for sure. Under normal circumstances,
you get a job from.
Like, I gotta get a job. I gotta get out of this situation. It's not working.
Yeah.
But if you really love it and you're doing it for yourself, and it's like it's a calling for you.
That's the other thing is like
you gotta do it for you. You can't do it for other people.
If you like the music, that means one other person will like it. And if you could get one person to like it, you could get 10 people to like it. And if you could get 10 people to like it, you could just keep going from there. It's not like impossible, but you have to like what you're doing. So like, don't be out here as an artist like faking your shit. That's the other thing. Like we're talking, like your question was like, how do you break as an artist in the industry? Yeah, so it's like, it's really being true to what you enjoy. Like I really believe that, and I've said this to artists that come here. It's like, the first thing that it starts with you. Like you got to really care about what it sounds like. You got to care what you want to convey a message to yourself, that it doesn't have to be for anyone else.
Well, the analogy I like to use is like, imagine you went to a concert, right? And there's artists on stage, but they're like second guessing themselves and they're shy and they're not performing their songs. And then all of a sudden the vibe is weird. The crowd's like
not into it.
They're not into it.
Yeah.
Because like imagine that.
I've been to those before, bro.
When you're an artist, is like you're leading the vibe. Like you're carrying the torch.
You're the leader of the
that
night.
Energy.
Yeah.
You're the one leading the people, exciting them,
entertaining
them. Like, you have to fully believe in yourself first, because if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to convince anybody of anything.
Favorite concert I've ever been to?
Like favorite concert or worst concert you've ever been to?
Favorite concert? Yeah. I saw Kanye and Jay-Z for Watch the Throne in Chicago. But that's not like, I'll say like honestly, some of my favorite concerts I've seen that like mattered, like for an up and coming artist. I'm not saying it because there are shows, but at Sunday Sounds there was this kid Hollow, and like he had this performance that was like actually eye opening. It might have been one of his first big performances in LA. He's a really talented dude, but like the vibe, you know, at Sunday Sounds, people are walking around, they're talking, there are a lot of people listening, but like he got on stage, he started singing, and I'll even take it back to the first Tea Time event. Like
that's where he was.
Yeah, that's where I like heard him first, other than like online. But like, I felt like time stopped and people were just like absolutely transfixed. And I think it's like, it's not just energy, it's everything that goes into that before, like you were saying. That's not overnight that he's just able to go up there and like rip vocals in front of hundreds of people. Like he was ready, and that moment was really special. I think like it wasn't a full concert, it was like 2-song set, but he absolutely shredded it. And like, I don't know how he feels about it, because obviously like he's his own person, but to me I was like, wow, that's very special. And like shows like that where people are proving it to themselves, like I could take it from there all the way to like Kanye Watch the Throne, because that's a big moment for Kanye too. Obviously he's with Jay-Z. That
big brother.
Yeah, it's his big brother. That's a big moment for Kanye. He was going ballistic that night. But like
Chicago.
And it was night too. It was the whole thing was nuts. But
the
like
one where they did
15
Paris,
times.
like 15 times.
15 times. Bro, like, oh my God, by the end of it I was like 60. I'm like half asleep, you know, like it was cool, but like, you know,
yeah, because they don't come out on stage till 2 hours after they.
Yeah, they started really late. Whatever. It was really cool. So like you could take it all the way from there to there in like terms of what your favorite concert is, but like I also saw Justin Timberlake in Tel Aviv. That was fucking phenomenal. Like, yeah.
I would say like probably the best show I ever went to. Well, not the best show, but one of the most exciting shows, and I think it kind of plays on what I was saying, was
I know what it is.
When Travis had Days Before Rodeo, like before the album Rodeo even came out. I mean, this is a while ago. Him, Metro Boomin, and Young Thug had a tour, like joint, all three, and it was
Sick.
it was like I think it was like Nokia Theater or something, maybe 600 people, you know, and it didn't matter if there's 600 or 6,000 or 60,000, like he was going absolutely ballistic. The energy like was out of control. Like I could still feel it in my bones. I probably was 19 at the time.
It's crazy.
I could still vividly remember that show, because of the confidence that he had, because the energy that he was just presenting us with. It was electric, and that's what attracts people to you. You know what I mean? If you're just a trailblazer of your own energy, it's attractive to people, because a lot of people, you know, maybe aren't brave enough, or maybe don't have enough belief in themselves for whatever reason or another. But you know, people are attracted to leaders, and if you can be a leader to yourself, and you know, just fully invest into yourself, I guarantee you're gonna get some fans.
You can build a community,
because people respect and appreciate that alone. You know, so a lot of the times where I see people that work really, really hard at what they do, and you know, it makes me like them way more. It makes me like them 10 times more. You know, if I like a song and I'm like, okay, I like the song, whatever, and then I hear the story behind it and it's great, it makes me love the song.
Well, it attaches you. It gives you sentimental value to the song too. It gives you understanding about who the person is.
Yeah. And I think also understanding who you are as an artist is very important, in the sense that, again, going back to the boxes have to be checked. Like you have to have somewhat of an understanding of marketing in today's day and age, because if you have to know what your strong suits are, and you have to play those strong suits. Meaning, if you are a vocalist that fits a certain style, and then you're trying to do something like completely different just because you like it and you want to do that kind of music, but that doesn't suit you necessarily, and the branding and the vibe of that is just going to be off. You know what I mean? Like you should always play to your strengths. Like, for example, I won't mention the artist, but she's like, for example, like she has an incredible voice, but she loves to rap, for example, and it's just like, I don't know if this is what's gonna make it for you, but I promise you, if you just make like a song that you're displaying your strengths as a vocalist, that's gonna get people to get attracted to you. You know what I mean? So you have to sort of understand where you fit in as an artist into the landscape of things.
I think that's with everything, though. Again, it's like, you know, like with me, for example, I was an artist. I found much more success being on the business side of the music industry. It's like working to your strengths with everything in life. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in finance and you find yourself being better at accounting than you are at like something else, then do that. Like, whatever it is, like any industry, work your strength. Like,
well, that's why I'm a mix engineer.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to be a producer or an artist at one point.
You got a beautiful voice. You be sounding like Frank Ocean, low key. No one even knows about that.
Cap.
You know, it's true though. Me and Yoni went to a music video shoot once, and he
Cap.
No. This is real.
It's not real.
Yeah, it is real. We're walking. It's like 6 a.m. I'm like behind Yoni. He like walked ahead of me, and he's like,
I wasn't even there that day.
Leon. And I look at him like, he turns around, he's like, oh, you're there? I was like, yeah, I'm right here.
It's a
I was
fake
like,
story.
goddamn, it's not a fake story. It's a real story.
I literally never
If you
shot
guys
a video.
book a session at Green Tea Studios, ask Joni to sing Sierra Leone.
I don't even work here.
Bring a blanket. It's going to put you right to sleep. Lullaby.
K-up.
K-up. You're going to put them to sleep.
No, but I became a mix engineer because I am just very like OCD about sound. And I felt a certain responsibility to fix things in the audio because everyone else in the room apparently doesn't have ears and they didn't hear all these things that were wrong with it. They're like, yeah, it sounds great. I'm like, are you joking? Let me fix this, and that. And they're
But
like,
you're a good
whoa.
producer too. Underrated. Like,
I like producing.
I don't even know if I could say that. People are
Producing
like, can you only
is
make a beat for me in a session?
Yeah. The thing about production that is different for me than mixing is production is, to me, is like an endless wormhole that you could fall into, you know, because it's like, okay, this sounds cool, this also sounds great, where do I start, where do I end, you know what I mean? Like I would just keep adding to beats and keep developing them and keep building them.
You did overcomplicate
because I just like sound so much. Like it's hard for me to like nail down like this is this and this is that, wrap this up, this is done, boom. But when it comes to mixing, it's like, okay, we have a point A, you know, this is what the producer and artist thought, this is the best that we could do, you know, they give it to me. And then I hear, you know, from point A where point B needs to be in the sense of, you know, the sonics and stuff. I hear what it could become, the best version of the track. And then it's a matter of just getting there, you know. It's like having a destination, then you just got to drive to it. So that for me, like that organization and that structure in my mind just works a lot better. And it's a lot less taxing on the system. Like production, if I have to sit there and I'm like, oh my god, like this snare like sounds good, but then this snare sounds good too. Like I'll never be able to like finalize that, you know, as easily as some of the producers that we know can just like shit out.
But the songs we finished together, you were able to do it.
Yeah,
and you mixed them too.
But I don't like, you know, I'm like a harsh critic on my own work, so I never like loved them, you know, like the beats that I made. But then other people come to me like, well, it's sick, can I have that, can I have this beat, blah blah blah, and I'm just like, you can, but I just don't think it's that good, you know. Maybe I'm too hard on myself, who knows, but I don't know, mixing's more fun because it's, I don't know, it's like a brain massage for me. It's also therapeutic, like I don't know if you can agree, but like
is therapy,
dude, going there, cleaning up all these audio takes and just like making things transition cleanly and stuff, it's just very satisfying. Yeah. So here's the thing. Our audience, it's a good question, right? The way this even started as an operation as a studio is at the time when me and Barry were linking together, we were going from studio to studio trying to record because we didn't have gear at the time. So we thought that's kind of what you needed to make a good song, which isn't true, by the way, but it helps.
Absolutely not.
I mean, it helps, but it's not all you need.
It's not the end all.
Yeah. And we found that there was a big discrepancy between affordable studios and then like the record label studios, for example. You know what I mean? Like there was a huge gap in quality.
Or even the local studios that are overcharging for
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you would go to these studios, 150, 200 an hour. You know, they have like huge boards and all this gear and stuff that you're never going to use if you're just recording over like a YouTube beat.
Or hip hop, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was just like, you get there, and these engineers are used to label work. So when they're not getting label work, it's just somebody, they're just punching in on the job. You know?
Smoking joints, taking phone calls in
they
between
don't care.
punches.
They don't care. They're there to press record. You know, you're asking them about any advice. You know, this like, you think I could do better? You're just like, I don't know. You tell me. It's your song. Like, you know, that used to drive me nuts.
I hated
bro.
that.
Paying that much money for a room that you didn't get to necessarily use any of the gear.
I was the one throwing the money half the time because I was the artist. Like, I was
the artist, yeah. Whatever.
Sucked, dude.
The point is, any artist would have had a disappointing experience. So then it's like, okay, not gonna dish out that much money because it's discouraging. I mean, I spent all this money, I didn't really get anything out of it. Still need to go mix this. It's like now you realize the recording wasn't even that great because there wasn't any effort that went into it.
True.
And then it's like, okay, and it discourages people. Like, why should I spend all this money to do something? And all of a sudden the mountain is huge. It's a huge mountain to climb. And then you try to go to the more affordable studios, and they were just complete. It was just a mess, you know, very unprofessional. Weird instances of people withholding files from you until you like pay more money. You know, just like sus. Random shit would have happened. We'd hear all these weird stories all the time. You know, we've had a couple shady experiences. And it was just really discouraging because we see like there's the 1% of LA that's on Mount Olympus of Hollywood and they're just in the industry. They already got their shit situated, but there's the 99% of artists that are out here in the city, don't have a place to record, don't have a sense of community. They got no marketing, promotional help. They got nothing. They're
trying to fill that checkbox you were talking about before.
All these kids move to LA, in hopes of achieving a dream, sort of like yourself, and they don't necessarily have a plan because they don't have any guidance. They don't really know how to do it. Yeah, because for some reason, success in the music industry is like a kept secret. It's one of those like very mysterious things. Yeah, it's like if you know, and if you know people, like they'll bring you in. And it's about meeting the right people, being in the right places, which is true. That's a huge aspect of that, right?
Yeah,
networking and connecting.
In the entertainment industry, for sure.
But we wanted to provide, like, essentially fill that void and provide a sense of community, professional and affordable recording with engineers that give a shit. Like that's really
the whole sauce.
That's really how it started, because it came from a sense of frustration that there was such a lack of this in the city, and there was so much talent. We would meet all these people that are hugely talented. I'm like, dude, if you just get the opportunity to get it out there, who knows? But that'll never happen unless you get there. That's what I'm saying. Like there's all this work that goes on behind the scenes that people just don't see, And then these artists, get to the point where the record labels are pushing their stuff, but they're in the background putting in all this time, working with their teams. People believing in them. They're taking out loans, doing all this kind of work in the back. But that all has to come from self-belief. Like you're just going back to that.
I think that's what we're here to help with. Essentially, like it's kind of just cutting the bullshit out between the artist and what Hollywood is. Like I feel like we've been very transparent with what we do.
They gatekeep a lot.
A big question we get asked a lot here is like, do you guys get to own any of the rights to the music? And I'm like, are other studios asking you guys for percentages of your songs for just recording them? Like that's even a thing. It like blew my mind. Like people ask us, like they'll call me, so do we own all the rights to the music that's recorded at your studio? I'm like, are you actually asking that? Of course you do. And like I just feel like going back to your checkbox situation, like there's a whole A through Z that's required now that's not even music at this point. Like the second like TikTok was introduced, that's when I like stopped rapping. I was like, I'm gonna have to make 80 pieces of content before I even get to write the song or work on my craft. And I was just like, this is so stupid. And it's not stupid. It's a necessary evil now. Like, you need to do that for marketing, and it's part of the game. But, like, that's a really discouraging way for people to, like, lose their sense of what the music industry is about. Is, like, is this a content thing or is this a talent thing? Is this a consistency thing? Or is this just an attention thing? And, like, I feel like it's really dangerous for an artist to like move to a city like this from like, dude, people can make it in Memphis too. They can make it in Miami. They can make it in Chicago. Like it happens. It's a lot harder to break out and really, or even Brooklyn, obviously there's a lot of big acts that come out of there, but like it's a lot harder to gain a sense of community of where you are when you're in a city that's a lot smaller than LA, because the truth is there's just more opportunity here.
Well, it's just also the top of the top from all these places that ends up in LA anyways.
You end up here eventually at some point regardless.
But that's the thing about LA too. It's such a competitive scene. It's like the cream of the crop is all gathered here.
But I feel like that's what we're doing is we're eliminating the sense of competition and bringing in, especially with the shows. That was like the whole thing is like
providing a platform.
Providing a platform for up and coming talent with the Sunday Sounds thing, I think has been the most successful and most beneficial thing for the artists, is because people that aren't even performing are coming and they're leaving, and there's been so much collaboration that's come from it.
Yeah,
and that alone is like giving. I was talking to Hendy, the guy who gave me the sweatshirt the other day. He told me that like not only has he made friends, like a lot of the music he's currently working on is with people that he's met from Sunday Sounds, and people that he's met, like a lot of A&Rs are coming. People are making connections. Like we're helping the artists that are performing and putting them in front of hundreds of people. That's not just as a service, but like the community is truly benefiting from that. And I think that's like where we have differentiated ourselves as a studio and as a business, is like, if it was for profit, man, like it'd be a whole different setup. I don't think there'd be this sense of community. I don't think there'd be this sense of fellowship and like lack of competition. No one's coming here and be like, I'm trying to be better than them.
That's the thing, right? We did this organically in the sense that it sort of grew to become this. This wasn't the plan originally.
We had no idea there was going to be shows. We didn't even
never
talked about that.
We didn't even know we were going to make a studio.
No, we were just making music.
We were just making music.
We were just two kids having fun, dude.
Yeah, and then it just grew to become more of a like you said, a community. And I think we've understood that is the most important thing as a business, period, because anybody could set up an equipment in a room, but there's so much more than that is required.
There's soul required, dude. That's really where we've differentiated ourselves. Like, we care about the music. Like, at the end of the day, you go to some of these studios, they don't, like you said, bro, like all the studios me and you were going to, would you get in there, it'd be messy still. You'd get in there, the engineers would be lazy, falling asleep. They'd be smoking.
They don't respect your time.
They don't respect your time. Yeah, bro.
Random people sitting in on your session.
I'm not going to say
engineer's friend or producer's friend's just like, oh, he's just going to be chilling. Don't worry about him.
I'm not going to say the studio.
Can you imagine?
I'm not going to say the studio because I'm not out here slandering shit. But like me and you went to a studio. I paid $150 for 2 hours. Bro, I wasn't making any money when I moved here. So like when we did that, I was like, okay, this is going to be sick. And we went there and like, I just remember you looking so angry. I like looked over at you. And the engineer, literally, he was smoking a joint, texting, and I was like, yo, punch me. And he's like, 1 sec. I was like, 1 sec, bro. Like, 1 sec is $2 of my time right now. I'm 22 years old. Like, give me a fucking break 1 sec, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that was like the thing that spawned it for us. Is like, we were also just like, me and you had so many ideas, and like, I was interning at all these places, and people were just like, no, man, this is how you do it. This is how it's been done. And we were like, why? Why does it have to keep being done like this? Like, this is a very dusty industry. Also, just like, I feel like especially for females in the industry, like we've created a really safe space that like people don't have to worry about going to a studio alone at night.
That's underrated
like,
too, yeah.
It's very underrated. Like we've never had a single incident where it's weird or it's uncomfortable, and like we vet our engineers to make sure that that's something that's super, super important. Like everyone should be feeling comfortable to go to a studio, but like if I had a daughter, I wouldn't send her to a studio in Burbank at 11 o'clock at night by herself. Like I would definitely send her here because like I've heard as like a father, just in theory, like I'd have already heard of great things about the people working here. And also like we make it an effort to get to know the people before they even record with us. Like we're on the ground talking with them. We're on the phone calls. We do studio tours. Like,
no, it's very personal. We come from an era of customer service. Like my dad's an old school Moroccan man. He's been selling jewelry his whole life. He knows how to, respect clients and essentially the customer service. And because that's what wins, people want to establish a connection and know who they're working with.
Especially in the digital era, no one knows each other anymore, bro. It's like, oh yeah, man, we were talking on Discord, and then they like meet in person. They're like, hi, and it's like super weird. And
a lot of the world is online now. Yeah.
It's weird, like, and then but you meet people in person. If you're able to make an impact, they don't really care if they met you online or not. Like,
because it's kind of rare these days. Yeah, unfortunately,
it's way cooler to meet someone in person.
Yeah,
always.
And in addition to that, I mean, that extends into the actual sessions themselves too. Like the energy and the energy and the vibe that we create in the room, I think is also hugely important because for me as an engineer, not only is it my job to get good recordings and get the best audio possible, but it's also to get the best possible performance out of the artist, which is a huge responsibility. It's a part of the job. And that means that you have to set the mood right. You have to get the best out of the artist and know what's going to make them more comfortable, know what's going to allow them to perform. Because when an artist is not in a relaxed, comfortable state, the vocal cords aren't going to perform as good as they will. And, you go as far as doing what you got to do to set it up. For some people, it's like they like having a certain drink in the studio or, Some people like to throw up something on the screen that makes them more comfortable, like a movie or something that makes them feel a certain way. And some people don't like any distractions at all, and they just like it to be very, very about the recording, and they like to be in their own space and their own piece. So you have to sort of be adaptable and
chameleon.
Well, you have to understand. I think that's what makes me a good engineer is I'm able to sort of read people's energies very well and understand people before they even have to say anything. I'm able to kind of see myself through their lens, get their perspective, and I think it makes for a very comfortable experience. I remember hearing stories about like Future. He was telling me about, not telling me, but he was in a video and he was explaining how
you and Future had a sit down.
Yeah, exactly.
Where was it?
It was in Magic City in one of the back offices.
Sensational.
No, but he was saying like his engineer would prepare the studio with his favorite drinks. He put like like flowers and like random shit that just would make Future in the zone, put him in the zone. And like during those eras, like, you know, just amazing music was made. So that goes, you know, that goes to show that it just, the way that you behave as an engineer in a session matters tremendously and has a tremendous effect on the outcome of the song. And a lot of studios miss this. You go to, like you said, engineers on the phone, not paying attention. That ruins the vibe. It kills the vibe. Session's done. You're already wasted your time, you know. So that sort of creating of a vibe and establishing a certain feeling extends to all aspects of our business. And I mean, the shows as well. Like, people are having a great time.
The best time
with the shows. And like you said, it just, because the energy and the vibe is good, it attracts that sort of energy back. We find that a lot of the people that we work with are just very similar in just how, you know, they're look what they're looking for, the kind of energy that they're putting out, and everyone just wants to see each other grow. And I think that's why there's so many producers and artists linking up and people doing features and stuff from Sunday Sounds.
It's not competitive.
No, everyone kind of wants to see each other eat, dude.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
And I think that's a big shift that's going to happen in the music industry. I'm not saying we're going to be the cause of it, but, like, I'm hoping that we can project that and be the start of that, because it's really just so dusty, dude. The whole thing is just, like, so overplayed at this point that, like, there can only be one. Like, it doesn't need to be like that. There's no need for it at this point. And I think me and you have both seen that throughout the years. Like,
what is that? What does J. Cole say in that song about him and Drake? Like, they act like two legends can't coexist.
Yeah, bro. Why the fuck not?
Why does that matter? Like, why they don't do anything similar, to be honest.
They're completely different
artists.
Yeah, Drake's a pop. Yeah, like, I don't know, dude. I feel like there could be so many. What? Because there's Anderson .Paak, there can't be Kibwasa. Like, they have nothing to do with each other. Like, it is. Everyone could get a piece of the pie, dude. We just have to make a bigger pie. That's all. Like,
yeah. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up.
She looked at me. She's like, "Yeah, that made sense."
We all like pie.
Speaking of pie, what's your favorite type of pie, real quick?
Favorite type of pie, honestly, pumpkin.
I literally swear to God, I knew you were gonna say pumpkin. Give me pumpkin. No, I was gonna say.
I was gonna say apple, but it's too generic. Apple's good though. I like pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie is definitely.
What about you? Key
lime pie.
Forgot about key lime.
Where are you from?
Virginia.
Okay.
Is that
I don't know why. I was just asking. If you would have said like Indiana or something, I think that makes sense. You know. I feel like yeah. Oh yeah. So you like key lime pie too?
Is that a thing in Indiana?
I don't know.
You tell me. I have no idea.
I just would have said some shit. I don't know. Yeah. I'm from Chicago. I like pumpkin pie too, low key, but I also like. I forget what it was. Like, it's like a macadamia nut, some shit my mom used to make, and it was just like fucking, wow.
Nut.
Yeah, slap the button, nut.